Chiefs Kingdom, we are only 2 sleeps away from the first game day of the 2022-2023 season, and for me, I can't wait. I'm here to tell you about 5 offensive players that you need to watch for on today's KCSN Update presented by DraftKings.
You are listening to KC Sports Network, the #1 podcast network for today's Kansas City sports fans. With former players from your favorite teams, informed perspectives, and former insiders, this is the place for you. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts or on our YouTube channel, all over social media, or our morning newsletter, KCSN Daily, dedicated to your Kansas City Chiefs. KC Sports Network is proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
Like I said, I'm going to be giving you the 5 offensive players to watch in the Chiefs matchup against the Chicago Bears on Saturday. But before we get there, I've got to give you a word from our friends at DraftKings. Kansas, DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Sunflower State. It won't be long until you can bet on all of your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home. To celebrate, all new customers will receive $100 in free bets when you sign up using the code KCSN. That's code KCSN. Plus, one lucky customer will win a $100,000 free bet. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you $100 in free bets just for signing up today, and no deposit is required. Soon you'll be able to bet on money lines, spreads, props, and more with one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps, DraftKings Sportsbook. Plus, you'll be entered to win a $100,000 free bet when you sign up. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code KCSN to get $100 in free bets to use once mobile sports betting hits Kansas. Plus, one customer will win a $100,000 free bet. That's code KCSN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700. 21 and older, physically present in Kansas. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. 1 per customer. $100 issued as 425 free bets. No purchase necessary for sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. Ends first day DraftKings is allowed to operate in Kansas. See terms at dkng.co/ks. All right, let's get to it. The Chiefs will kick off their preseason at Soldier Field in Chicago on Saturday at noon. It's going to kind of feel like a little bit of a college football game there, kicking off with at noon on Saturday. It's always that prime time, especially for SEC games. They love those early kickoffs. In the preseason games, we're going to get to see a lot of Chiefs going in and going out. The boys will suit up for the first time. I'm incredibly excited, and I know you're going to want to watch the game. You can catch that on Channel 41 if you're in Kansas City, the NBC affiliate for the Kansas City. And if you're not in the market, I believe it's on NFL Network. It's going to be streamed on NFL Plus as well if you have that subscription. And, of course, our friends at DraftKings, they've got a line on the game. You know, our friends at DraftKings have set the line at -3.5 for the Bears. I had to look over at my notes and make sure I got that correct. And the Bears also favored on the money line at -170. Over-under at 35 points for the two teams combined. That is evenly valued at -110 on the over and the under. So go make your bets, man. Kansas, it's coming right up. Make sure you use that promo code KCSN to chance to win that $100,000 free bet. It's going to be a good time once DraftKings hits the state of Kansas, and you can make these bets from the comfort of your own home. But now, without further ado, let's get into it. The 5 offensive players to watch for the Kansas City Chiefs on Saturday. All right, my #1 player to watch is Skyy Moore. Now, you might be saying, Tucker, hey, he looks like he's going to be a starter. He's going to be on this team. Yeah, it does, and that's one of the things that I'm curious to watch, to see how much Skyy Moore plays. He did suffer an injury. Now, it wasn't a major injury. During training camp, towards the beginning, it was during a one-on-one rep, during one of the first few padded practices of the season, so I'm curious to see if that plays into it. Now, Skyy and Andy have both said that, he's fine. He'll do fine. But I want to see him get reps against a different colored jersey, right? I think we've seen him beat up on the Chiefs cornerbacks enough. I want to see what he can do against another team. And that's really what these preseason games are about, is this evaluation. Chiefs have a lot of rookies, and I want to see those rookies get reps. I know they might be day one starters, looking like day one starters, but I want to see what they got here. I want to see the baseline, and that especially goes for Skyy Moore because he's shown off a lot of his abilities during training camp. Got a lot of highlights, as you can kind of see here. He's been showing off, and I want to see him do it against another team. I'm excited to see him, but I'm curious to see how many reps he really does take, and I'm sure he'll get some reps in with the twos as well just to get his footing under him. But that wide receiver room's interesting. There's going to be more guys I talk about from that room later on, so make sure you stick around. That's Skyy Moore as my number one player to watch. And if you're watching this video and you agree, make sure to go hit that like button. Comment below. Let me know who are your players to watch on the offensive side of the ball, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss a KCSN update or anything else we got going on here on KC Sports Network. Number 2 for the offensive players to watch, I've got Ronald Jones. Now, you might be thinking, Tucker, there's a lot of running backs in that room you could be excited to watch. Why is it Ronald Jones that you're excited to watch? I'll tell you why right here. I think he's fighting for a roster spot at this point. We've seen a lot of buzz from Isaiah Pacheco. Jerick McKinnon even catching some passes out of the backfield. You know, he's kind of returning to this team. Clyde Edwards-Helaire looks like he's kind of going to be that running back one. Ronald Jones kind of starting to look like the odd man out, and that could change with a good preseason performance. There hasn't really been a whole lot of buzz from practice. Now, that can be, you know, you can I guess, take however you want from buzz from training camp or practice. But I don't think it's not nothing. It seems like that he hasn't really fully clicked with the offense here. Isaiah Pacheco has really taken his role and kind of ran with it a little bit. So I think that's made it even tougher on Ronald Jones to kind of get in here. It's important to note that only $750,000 of his contract is guaranteed. I believe that's about half. So it's not like the Chiefs are losing out on a whole lot of money if he doesn't make the roster. Only about half of his contract for Ronald Jones. So I think this is a really big room to watch in general, but Ronald Jones specifically, as a guy fighting for a roster spot, as a veteran, I want to see how he responds. I want to see how many snaps he gets. That's another thing, too, is how are they going to break up the snaps with Ronald Jones, with Isaiah Pacheco, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Who gets the most snaps? There's going to be a running back that gets the most snaps, and it might be Derek Gore just because of where he was placed on the Chiefs' first unofficial depth chart. But I think that Ronald Jones really has something to prove, and I want to see him play like it. Number 3 for my offensive players to watch is Darian Kinnard. You know, the rookie came in, and people were expecting a lot out of Kinnard. Some were even saying maybe he can compete for that right tackle 1 spot. Now, I don't think that was a fair expectation to put on the kid. Andrew Wiley has kind of locked down that position ever since Lucas Niang really hasn't came back from that injury he suffered last year. But Andrew Wiley has played well. What I want to see is how well Kinnard plays as the second-string right tackle. That's what he was listed as on the first unofficial depth chart, but he was flipped around from position to position on the left to right side for tackles. So I think that's interesting to know. That was before Orlando Brown Jr. came back, so I think they were just trying to get him reps on both sides to see if he could fill that kind of swing tackle role. It looks like Christian's going to kind of fill that role, though. I'm excited to see what Darian Kinnard can do. Lots of buzz for him. He was another Duke Manyweather guy, so I think that there's a good chance that the Chiefs did find something here with Darian Kinnard, and this is where it's going to start right here. You get to see that baseline of where he's at. I think it's a general consensus that he's the right tackle of the future. Andrew Wiley won't be here for forever, you know, so you got to draft the young guy, let him learn his ropes from Andrew Wiley, who a good guy to learn from that right tackle position. I'm just excited to see what Kinnard looks like, you know, facing another team. That's what's so exciting about these first preseason games. You get to see these guys beat up on other players that aren't wearing the same jersey as them, and that's another thing with Kinnard, where he's looked all right in one-on-ones. I'm excited to see what he can do against the Chicago Bears in that front. I assume that he'll get plenty of reps in this first game. I want to see that baseline. I guess this is the floor that we could expect for Darian Kinnard. Man, I'm excited for him. I love what this offensive line has. They've got a lot of storylines in terms of what the depth is going to be, and I think that this guy could be a big piece moving forward for the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 4 for my Kansas City Chiefs players to watch on Saturday's game against the Chicago Bears, that's got to be Noah Gray. Lots of tight ends were listed on the first depth chart, 6 to be exact, with Noah Gray coming in at tight end 3. Kind of surprised a lot of people considering how well Jordy Fordson played in camp, and kind of how little buzz we got from Noah Gray at the beginning of camp. But, you know, those two, their paths are kind of crossed, you know, right there in the middle. Jody Fortson suffering that quad injury, hasn't practiced since then. Noah Gray's stock kind of climbing up ever since then, just because he's getting more opportunities, and he's taking advantage of those opportunities as well, making some great plays, making some great catches, and I'm really excited to see what he has to offer. Maybe some could consider his year last year a little underwhelming. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I know that a lot of people were expecting big things for Noah Gray, which might have been unfair for the rookie tight end, you know, especially with Travis Kelce. And I'm excited to see what he can learn from a year from Travis Kelce and see how much he's grown from that. So this game is more about observing the growth of Noah Gray, seeing what he's learned, seeing what he's picked up. So I can't wait to see what he's got there. And that's another thing. A good performance could put him ahead of Jody Fortson for sure on that last depth chart that comes out. So let's see. Let's see what Noah Gray can do. People love him, and he's been playing really well. My fifth and final player to watch on Saturday against the Chicago Bears, it's another wide receiver. It's going to be Josh Gordon. Now, he finds himself in a position battle here, kind of vying for a roster spot as that wide receiver 6 position. There's 4 guys really already locked up. You got McCole Hardman, you got Juju Smith-Schuster, you have Skyy Moore, you got MVS. Those 4 guys are going to be your locks as a 4 wide receivers. Chiefs usually keep about 6 wide receivers. You start looking at the other guys, you know, in that mix. Looks like wide receiver 5. Probably going to be Justin Watson just because of his special teams ability. We all know that Dave Toub loves guys that can play on special teams, and that really gets them on the roster. So I think that's going to get Watson on the roster as well. So now, if you're Josh Gordon, you're looking at wide receiver number 6, that last wide receiver position, probably battling with Cornell Powell and Darius Fountain. Those are probably the 2 guys of the biggest competition that he has to face here. And Gordon's a vested veteran, man. He's been around the league for a long time. If you don't know Josh Gordon's story, man, go look it up. It's a crazy story. The dude's been around the league and has suffered a lot of adversity, maybe some of it self-inflicted. But nevertheless, he's now here. He's vying for this spot, and he's been kind of quiet at the beginning of camp, admittedly. When I was out there at training camp, I was left wondering kind of where Josh Gordon was. And when I would find him, it was usually when he was dropping a pass early. Now, that was in shorts and T-shirts, nothing to worry about there. He's definitely picked up his play since then. He's caught a couple deep balls from Mahomes, scored a couple touchdowns. So all is well on the practice side of things. I think that's going to be really interesting. And he changed his number from 19 to 12, so that was another kind of tricky. Corey Coleman's wearing 19, and Josh Gordon, a much bigger body, is wearing number 12. So that's going to be something that I'm watching, is how many snaps he gets, plus how well does he do with those snaps. There were a couple times last year he had some drop passes, drop balls, in kind of some big areas for the Chiefs and for Patrick Mahomes. So this will be something very interesting. Looking forward to Josh Gordon's performance and seeing if he can kind of separate himself from Cornell Powell, from Darius Fountain, from Corey Coleman, all those guys vying for that wide receiver 6 spot. And that's it. Let me know what you thought about my list in the comment section below, and make sure to drop your list down there too. If you like the video, make sure to like the video on YouTube and make sure to subscribe as well so you never miss a video coming out on KC Sports Network. If you're listening to this on the audio channels, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode as well. I'll be back tomorrow on KCSN Update. I'm going to be talking to you about the top 5 defensive players that I'm looking forward to seeing on Saturday's game against the Chicago Bears. Let me know if you want to see more of these kinds of video below in the comments as well. I can't wait to talk to you guys tomorrow. We'll see you later, Chiefs Kingdom.